So Oklahoma passed that the Bible has to be taught in public schools now. Have you heard it? Okay, let's talk about this. Hi, I'm Donita from prairie-trail.com. I'm actually a homeschool mom. And so if you don't want to listen to me, move on. But if you would like to learn a little bit more, I have the guidelines uh, that are being passed down, the basics anyway. And I would kind of like to go through these and show how Oklahoma is not uh, putting together church and state, separation of church and state, which isn't what most people think it is, what nearly everybody thinks it is. But anyway, they're not putting religion in schools. Books are not religious. People are religious. The Bible is a book. Okay. So, yeah, let's get into it. Let's see, share. I have slides and then I have more to share after that. I will have links in the description to help with this. So the letter, let's see if I can pull this up. That is not the thing. I was sidetracked earlier today. That is not the thing. Oh, no, that is not the thing. Come on, Donnie. Where are you? There we go. Oh, move. All right. So Ryan Walters, State Superintendent of Public Instruction in the Oklahoma State Department of Education. These are the instructional guidelines. There are 5 pages here. The standards guidelines for the 2024-2025 school year are provided below. This is in conjunction with the state superintendent's directive regarding incorporating the Bible as an instruction support in recognition of existing Oklahoma social studies standards. The Oklahoma State Department of Education has crafted these guidelines to aid teachers incorporating the Bible as an instructional support. The Bible has played a significant role in the development of Western civilization and American history. And it cites this book, The Bible in History, How the Texts Have Shaped the Times, Oxford University Press. It's by David W. Kling. On Amazon, you can get a used copy for $4 plus $4 shipping. So $8. You can get a used copy. You can probably borrow it from library, interlibrary loan or something. The summary to this book is no one can doubt that the Bible has exerted a tremendous influence on Western civilization since the dawn of Christianity. But few of us have considered the precise nature of that influence in particular historical contexts. In this book, David Kling traces the fascinating story of how specific biblical texts have at different times emerged to be the inspiration of movements that have changed the course of history. By examining 8 such pivotal texts, Kling elucidates the ways, it's a bigger word than Oklahoma can pronounce, the ways in which sacred texts continue to shape our lives as well as our history. Blah, blah, blah. Goes into a little bit of it. I was going to bring up, let's see. I actually have, okay, Horace Mann is the founder of Compulsory Education. He's the one that really pushed this. And I have some quotes from him. And there are a lot of schools in Oklahoma that are named Horace Mann School. Elementary school, Horace Mann, middle school, Horace Mann High School. This is why, after this man. He was in Massachusetts. That's where the first compulsory education laws were founded. So this man, one of his quotes is, "Education is our only public safety. Outside of this ark, all is deluge." He's quoting the Bible here. He's talking about the ark and the flood. Okay. So he was very familiar with the Bible whenever he was pushing compulsory education in the United States. Another one, he says, "Under the providence of God, our means of education are the grand machinery by which the raw material of human nature can be worked up into inventors and discoverers, into skilled artisans and scientific farmers, into scholars and jurists, into founders of benevolent institutions, and the great explorers of ethical, theological science." Okay, so this is the man who who basically not created, but founded, helped to push the laws for compulsory attendance in public schools in the United States. Obviously, whether he was Christian or not, because he was a brother-in-law to Henry David Thoreau, if I remember right. Um, so he probably was, very likely was a transcendentalist. Okay. Um, so whether or not he was Christian, I'm not going to say here. God can, judge that one. But he is showing here the Christian basis for which he was doing this. Whether he was a Christian or not, it was those principles that he was going on. So that gives precedent for what's going on. And Oklahoma, this hasn't happened just all of a sudden they decided to do this. This is something that's been in the works for a very long time. There's been research studies done, and our oldest was part of this. I think she's going to do a video on it, and I'll make sure to share it with you guys whenever she does that. But this has been going on for quite a while. She's in her 30s now. She was involved in it when she was 18. So this has been a long time coming. Okay. This document provides guidelines for teachers on how to approach incorporation in a manner that emphasizes only its historical, literary, and secular benefits, ensuring compliance with legal standards and precedents. Citation to standards is, for example, of sample authority. Okay, let's see. Next slide. All right. Historical context first. All right, historical context. Influence on Western civilization. The Bible has been a key cornerstone in the development of Western thought, influencing legal systems, ethical frameworks, and cultural norms. Teachers must focus on how biblical principles have shaped the foundational aspects of Western societies, such as concepts of justice, human rights, rule of law. You can, while you're teaching history, you can, so much has a biblical basis. When you have Martin Luther King Jr. Day coming up, some of his quotes are very biblical quotes. If you haven't been sharing those yet because you're afraid of teaching the Bible in school, or because you're trying to separate it, you are doing the children a disservice by not sharing the context of what he was trying to do. So there's so much throughout the way Western civilization as we see it today, well, was built and has been torn down. And that's not going to be like an extra thing for you to have to come up with, because I've heard teachers complaining, well, we have to teach for the standardized tests, and this is just another burden on us. I get it. Number one, the standardized tests aren't doing you any good. Oklahoma is in the 44th percentile in the United States. as far as education and those stupid tests. Those tests don't tell anybody anything about the potential of your students. Stop it. Okay? And the superintendents and the principals just need to get over themselves because they're Anyway, teach what you know that children need to learn. Share with them. As a matter of fact, you hardly have to teach them if you do this right. You introduce the information and discuss it with them. Have open discussion. Get the children thinking about these things and talking about these things. There is no doubt you've got children in your classroom who are adamantly against anything that has to do with the Bible, mostly because they know nothing about it other than what they've been told or heard on TV or in the media or whatever. So learning where some of this stuff comes from and why, you know, we have some of the things that we have, it helps them to understand the context of the world that they're living in. Okay, the second thing, impact on American history. From early European settlers, the founding fathers to the founding fathers, biblical references have been prevalent in American historical documents and speeches. Teachers must highlight key historical moments where the Bible played a role, such as the Mayflower Compact, the Declaration of Independence, and the speeches of leaders like Abraham Lincoln and Martin Luther King Jr. Okay. Yes, this is your American history. And whether you like it or not, and no, I'm not saying that our founding fathers were all believers. They weren't, but they definitely weren't, okay? But they lived in a world that had been highly influenced by these principles, okay, and by this book. So understanding that, you know, what good is the 10 Commandments? And I'm going to go into that in a minute. But, you know, children need to know what the context is. You can tell them, you know, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. But unless they understand the context of why it's important for them not to do those things, why bother? Okay. We're being influenced by a society today that says that you can make your own rules and laws. And if you want to support that, then get out of public education, because public education is specifically to raise up people who are going to follow rules and laws. Specifically, H.L. Mencken said the aim of public education is not to spread enlightenment at all. It is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same level, to breed and train a standardized citizenry, and to put down dissent and originality. That is the purpose of public education and the people who put their money into it, okay? J.D. Rockefeller said, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. Okay, these are the people who have supported public education. So, you know, if you want to follow that, then power to you. Have fun. Okay, next slide. Literary significance. Canonical literature. The Bible is a primary source of allusions, themes, and archetypes in Western literature. Teachers must explore its influence on classical and contemporary works, helping students understand references and themes in literature and poetry and even modern media. My only problem with this is I don't think most teachers understand. I don't think most teachers catch the biblical references in Shakespeare. Mark Twain. So much of our literature. Absolute. I mean, do you guys even teach classics anymore? I just wonder. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I just wonder because it seems like what I hear, and not that, I'm around all the time. It's Harry, the children are learning Harry Potter. And do they get any classical literature? Jules Verne, H.G. Wells, uh, Gerald Tolkien, C.S. Lewis. Um, oh, here's the guy that I just went blank. Um, Last of the Mohicans. Oh, come on. Book by James Fenimore Cooper. Oh my goodness, his books are so good. Dracula. I mean, that is a perfect literary work for young people to read in October. I mean, have fun with that. Dracula, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. There are so many references to the Bible in these old, literary books, poetry, even Henry David Thoreau and Ralph Waldo Emerson, who were transcendentalists, New Age, the beginnings of the New Age there. They were always quoting Bible and biblical principles and biblical things. So it's just like, it's in there. It's already there. It's not something else you have to pull out. Literary techniques. The Bible uses numerous and various literary techniques, including allegory, metaphor, and parable. There's some really cool stuff in the Bible as far as this kind of stuff is concerned that you can really get the attention of your children. Young people get a real kick out of some of the allegorical, metaphorical things in the Bible. Angels, okay? Ezekiel, just saying, okay? Teachers can use biblical text to illustrate these techniques. Like Job has it talks about dragons. I mean, there's just so much. The Song of Solomon. You might want to. You could. Well, I mean, they do the Scarlet Letter in school, so surely you could do the Song of Solomon. Ecclesiastes might be a little cleaner. But, you got to be careful with the Bible because it is an X-rated book, okay? Anyway, enhancing students' literary analysis skills. Help them analyze it. If you are against the Bible in school, use this as an opportunity to analyze it in a critical way. Go for it. This approach allows students to appreciate the Bible's literary craftsmanship, which, I mean, this is thousands of years. People think the Bible is just a few thousand years old and is one of the newest religions. No, the Bible is at least 7,000 years old, the oldest parts of it. And it is a conglomeration of stuff through the ages. It is also the basis of Hebrew text. And it comes from the Hebrew text and and Islam. Okay. Absolutely. So talk about that. Absolutely talk about that. Let's see. This approach allows students to appreciate the Bible's literary craftsmanship without delving into religious doctrine. Okay. You are not teaching religious doctrine in the schools. You are not teaching religion in the schools. Yeah, hopefully some children will come out of it with some faith, but you aren't the one pushing that at all. And their faith doesn't have to be in the Bible itself, but in just something bigger than themselves. Okay. Next slide. Artistic and musical influence. This is one where I don't know how teachers, art teachers or music teachers could teach art or music history, art history or music history without references to the Bible. I do not know how they would do it. This actually gives another book. The Bible has inspired numerous works of art throughout history. See Janson's History of Art, the Western Tradition. Let me look that up on Amazon. And I will try to make sure that I've got the links to these below. Oh, that's an expensive one. Oh, wow. You might have to see. Well, there's one that's maybe $21 for a used. This is a more expensive one. You may have to see if you can do a, and there's 2 volumes, volume 1 and volume 2. That is very interesting. This looks like an amazing book, as a matter of fact. It is actually considered a textbook. So yeah, this is got, say how many pages? What does it say on that one? Let's see on this one. There have been several editions, so this is pretty old. This one says 528 pages, and it's a 9 inches by 10 inches book. So that's a big book. That is a big book. So you've got a whole thing here that would be a great reference. And I'll make sure that I have a link below for you. Teachers must introduce students to famous artworks that depict biblical scenes or themes, discussing the historical and cultural context of those while remaining mindful of all the rules for grade level, age level, appropriate material. In other words, don't be showing the little ones the naked stuff. Okay, be careful. There are some interesting images that have been like on tapestries and paintings and things of like the siege of Jerusalem. There's been several sieges of Jerusalem. Little boys and girls are going to love some of the Templar stuff, of the Crusades and things. Be they good or bad, there's some amazing images that you could go over for the historical perspective of those. Plus paintings and mosaics and things of people in the Bible from historical events. Yeah, the Bible doesn't mention like Alexander the Great by name, but it does talk about that conquest, that time period. So there's some amazing things. I mean, the Bible goes all the way through there, okay? And we're talking Egypt, we're talking Greek, we're talking Roman, we're talking Babylonian, and then not to mention, AD stuff and the cathedrals and the paintings, Michelangelo, and all the stuff. Amazing things. So yes, age appropriate, keep it, G-rated for the youngins. I actually went through one of the books, the reference books that I have, and I put sticky notes. I like sticky tape, double-sided sticky taped sticky notes and cardstock pieces over areas, and gave people bikinis. So you can put stickers, you can do whatever you need to do on that to make it age appropriate, or just be careful of the stuff that you're picking. So if you're learning about painting, pull out a couple of paintings, talk about what this particular instance is. It doesn't have to be a big thing, right? No big thing. Just they're scattered throughout art history. Same thing with music. And again, it gives us another book, The History of Western Music by Donald Grout and Claude Palisca. Biblical texts and stories have influenced many musical compositions. Teachers can explore how composers and musicians have interpreted and expressed biblical themes through music, focusing on cultural and historical significance rather than religious content. Okay, so you pull up Mozart and Bach, you got it. Okay, most of the composers, the classical composers, definitely they were writing music for the church a lot. So yeah, yeah, and it's easy to find this stuff. It's easy to find this stuff. Okay. Well, implementing strategies. Textual analysis. Students may be encouraged to analyze biblical texts as they would any other historical or literary document. Focus on structure, language, and rhetorical strategies used in biblical narratives, poetry, and epistles. Comparative studies. Conduct comparative studies between biblical texts and other historical or literary works. This can include examining parallels between biblical stories and Greek mythology, or comparing the ethical teachings of the Bible with those of other philosophical traditions. This right here gives you the opportunity, if you so desire, which I mean, considering current events, you should compare biblical ethical teachings with other philosophical teachings. It's a good idea. Do it. Historical documents and speeches. I didn't get it all in there. Sorry, guys. Historical documents and speeches. Integrate excerpts from historical documents and speeches that reference the Bible. Discuss the context and significance of these references, helping students understand the Bible's role in shaping political and social thought. Critical thinking and discussion. Here, let me pause this for a minute. Matter of fact, I think I will just jump. I'm just going to screen share. I'm just going to jump to the document. This is the actual document, and I will have it in here. I got ahead of myself. So historical documents and speeches, critical thinking and discussion, foster an environment where students can engage in critical thinking, discussion about historical and literary aspects of the Bible, encourage respectful dialogue and diverse perspectives. This is encouraging them to disagree, okay? Ensuring that discussions remain academic rather than doctrinal. Okay, so I mean, that's going to be your thing whenever you have Christian students and then other students that are against Christianity, and basically that's where you're at. Okay, in the public schools is you have Christian school students and then you have everybody who hates Christianity. Period. End of story. So it's just going to be refereeing, which you already do, I'm sure, the Christian versus the other. Do not grade children on their opinions from home. Please don't. Okay? And whether or not they agree with your opinions. That is just wrong. And I don't see Christian teachers do that. Okay? I'll just say that. Grade level specific guidelines, upper elementary. Narrative elements discuss elements of a story, such as a plot, characters, setting, using biblical stories as examples. This is fun. It can be fun. The story of Samson, what was going on there? What was happening with Samson? What are the stories? Here's these amazing stories of Samson. Do you believe them? Are they just mythology? Or could it really have happened? You know, does it sound a lot like some of the Greek and Roman stories of their, you know, like demigods and stuff, the children will pick up on that kind of stuff. David and Goliath, do you think giants were real? How big was the giant? You can, do the math and actually show how big he was if you wanted to. You can talk about how slavery isn't right whenever you talk about the Exodus and what was going on and how, Egypt says it didn't happen, but a lot of archaeology says that it did. Okay, historical context begin by introducing the historical context in which these stories were written and their impact on Western culture. Literary devices. Identify and discuss simple literary devices such as similes, metaphors, and personification within biblical texts. Music appreciation. Introduced Christians to classical music pieces inspired by biblical themes, discussing the historical context and significance without focusing on religious content. One really interesting thing is like the Tower of Babel and how that has influenced art and architecture. Even today, there are architectural things that have been built based on the Tower of Babel story, even today, by non-Christian people, okay? Middle school. Textual analysis. Engage students in more detailed analysis of biblical texts, focusing on language, structure, and themes. I have a little bit of an issue with this because the language and structure depends on the translation. You're not going to be teaching Hebrew and Greek, though Greek used to be taught. Greek and Latin used to be taught in schools. I taught Greek and Latin roots to our children, but I know you don't have that in the public schools, so that makes it a little bit harder. But when you're reading, I mean, if you pick up an NIV, you don't have much as far as language structure in that. And if you pick up a King James, it's Shakespearean. You know what I'm saying? So in middle school, if you do Shakespeare and you do some King James Version Bible, you can definitely get something there. You can pick up the Psalms would probably be the best one to do with this, and go through the same themes of some of the Psalms. Psalm 119 is like the Hebrew alphabet, and that would be one that you could do, and you could spend a whole year just on Psalm 19 and never have to touch anything else, and you'd have this textual analysis. Comparative literature, compare biblical stories with myths and legends from other cultures, examining similarities and differences. Like I said, the Greek myths compared to some of the biblical things. Okay. Historical impact. Discuss the influence of the Bible on historical events and figures. You could talk about the Reformation. That was completely about the Bible, and it was a huge part of history, and it made a big impact on Western civilization. Art, music, exploration. I mean, study famous artworks, musical compositions inspired by biblical themes, discussing their impact on culture and society while remaining mindful of all rules of, grade level and appropriate material, because the Bible is X-rated. High school. So this document goes through each of these. Like I said, I'll put a link. If you're a teacher and you don't have this yet, or if you're just interested in what Oklahoma is doing, legal considerations, you want to stay neutral and objective, ensure that all instruction is conducted in neutral and objective manner. Teachers must not promote or favor religious beliefs. It's funny, it does not say teachers must not be contentious against it as well. So, everybody who is against the Bible, you can be as contentious as you want to. As a matter of fact, I would tell you, poke it, my God. Do it. Poke at his word. Do it. See where you go. Okay. Because the more you poke at this, the more curious these kids are going to get. And I probably have more faith in these children than a non-biblical teacher does. Okay, diverse perspectives. Acknowledge the Bible's influence while recognizing and respecting diversity of religious beliefs among students. So if you have students of different beliefs, yeah, go for it. Find out where they converge, where they bumped into each other, and where they're influencing each other today, because they are big time. Incorporate perspectives, secular traditions to provide a balance. There you go. You know, notice, especially if you're a non-Christian teacher, notice Christmas is not in the Bible. Some people celebrate Christmas as Jesus's birthday, but there is nowhere in the Bible that says he was born in winter, and definitely not December 25th. Okay. So yeah, if you're a non-religious teacher, talk about that, you know, how actually there's been a few books taken out of the Bible in the last 200 years. And those books include Hanukkah. Why was Hanukkah taken out of the Christian Bible? It's in the Hebrew Bible, and it should be in the Christian Bible. Jesus was on the porch of Solomon on the Feast of Dedication, which is Hanukkah. So Jesus celebrated Hanukkah, but Christians have taken it out of their Bible. Why? That's a diverse perspective. Parental communication. Maintain open communication with parents about the purpose and content of incorporating the Bible as an instructional support into the curriculum. Provide information on how the curriculum addresses historical and literary aspects, emphasizing that it is not an endorsement of religious beliefs, which that just should be in the first place. It's the Democrats that have been making the big deal that Oklahoma is teaching religion in school, and it is not true. Okay, and this right here says so. Primary purpose of usage. The Bible must be used in student instruction for its historical, literary, and secular value. It is not to be used for religious purposes such as preaching, proselytizing, or indoctrination. Period. End of story. Children are getting enough indoctrination in the public schools as it is. So, you know, and you can't tell me your textbooks don't have indoctrination. So if you are a teacher who is not pushing the indoctrination that is in the textbooks, good for you. I don't know how you're doing it. This is just another book. It is just another book. And if you can have, most of the Oklahoma City area schools have prayer rooms for the Muslim students, there is no reason why you cannot have basic biblical, historical, and literary context in the schools as well. No reason at all, especially since the first 5 books of the Bible also apply to the Muslims. Period. End of story. In conclusion, the inclusion of the Bible as an instructional support in the curriculum offers students a deeper understanding of the historical and literary foundations of Western civilization and American history. By focusing on these aspects, teachers can enrich students' education while adhering to legal guidelines. These guidelines aim to provide a balanced, objective approach that respects diversity of belief and fosters critical thinking. A holistic approach ensures that students do not merely see the Bible as a religious text, but as a significant historical and cultural artifact that has influenced a wide array of human endeavors. Moreover, maintaining neutrality and objectivity is crucial, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so these are the guidelines here. Let's see, I was getting back to my slides. So 10 Commandments. A lot of states, several states have been saying the 10 Commandments has to be displayed in schools now. and some of them like in every classroom, I think. So let me narrow down the 10 commandments for you, okay? It is in the Bible, it is in Exodus. So that also makes it something that the Jews and the Muslims have as a basis, all right? Now, the Muslims are from Ishmael instead of Isaac, and Isaac was actually the Israelites instead of the Ishmaelites, which is where Islam comes from. But they have a very, very basic same thing. As a matter of fact, Islam came about in 600 something AD. Okay, so it is the newest. It's the newest. Okay, but it is based on this as well. So the first 4 commandments, you have no other gods before you, make no graven images, and don't misuse the name of God. Jesus in Matthew 22:37 through 38 said, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. In context, what is the takeaway of this? The takeaway is respect something bigger than yourself. There's always a bigger fish in the sea. And keeping that in mind in humility, gratefulness, and thanksgiving for what you have. Okay? That's what that boils down to. Doesn't have to be a religious thing. This is the reason. Here, respect something bigger than yourself. Number 4, the 4th commandment, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. This is because God made the world according to the Bible and biblical cosmology. God made the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day, he rested. And so for 6 days, work. On the 7th day, rest. The takeaway here is rest is important. Too many people are overachievers, people pleasers, and perfectionists, and stress is an epidemic problem even for children. Rest is important. The rest of the commandments: honor your father and mother, don't murder, commit adultery, which is cheating, steal, lie, bearing false witness is lying, and don't covet, jealousy, and greed, okay, which is a big problem definitely in school. Anybody who went to public school can remember where jealousy and greed was a problem, right? Am I right? Yes, I'm right. Okay. And then Jesus said, and the second is like unto it, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. If you can teach children to love something bigger than themselves, to respect something bigger than themselves, and to love their neighbor as themselves, or even better sometimes, then you have, and these takeaways: attentiveness, obedience. If you can't get children to be attentive and obedience in the classroom, I don't know how you handle 30 children the exact same age in one room for 8 hours a day. I just don't. Compassion and empathy, loyalty and dependability, honesty and self-control, generosity and responsibility. Nobody can argue with that. If they do, they're not nice people, okay? Those are character traits, okay? That's what the last 5 commandments are giving you, is character, 6 commandments, is character traits. Love your neighbor as yourself is showing good character. And there are some free or inexpensive resources that you can use to teach character qualities with the Bible side by side, okay? And these are excellent things. As a matter of fact, Character First is secular. It's based on biblical principles, but this is secular. So this gives you historical people, scientific stuff, people from science. It gives you math. It gives you all of the subjects, all of the teaching subjects will be in this here. And these first two will have some Bible verses that you can compare to. Okay. So here are some resources that you can use that are very laid out very nicely. And I will show you. Okay. Here is this one. This is Growing Christ-like Character. These are Bible. It's got 49 character qualities. I would start with attentiveness because getting children to pay attention is a big deal. Attentiveness versus unconcern, showing the worth of a person by giving undivided concentration to their words and emotions. Who can complain about that? Who can argue with that? Here it gives you a Bible verse, and then it talks about this, and it gives you some context, and you know, if some of this stuff, if it sounds doctrinal or something, skip it. Go. Would my parents say that I am eager to hear, understand, and obey their instructions? When others speak to me, do I stop and look at them so that they can see they have my complete attention? Okay. Some of this has absolutely nothing to do with God. Okay. Gives you some questions to ask for discussion. It gives you the Bible verses, and it gives you some basic information. The opposite of attentiveness is unconcern. A person's concern for himself can crowd out his regard for others. When he is busy pursuing what he wants to do, he may find it difficult to pause and listen to others. His mumbled response indicates his disinterest as he pays little attention to the speaker's words or facial expressions. This is good information, and you can take out this part right there. Okay. And then there are articles that go with it. Here's a hymn that you can talk about the history of the hymn. Or a quote from a saint. Here's some more verses. I mean, you're going to have verses all over the place for this stuff. And then here's some free attentiveness workshops or resources. Here's a story of a white-tailed deer, so you can get some nature. And this is a neat little story. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with God. Here's information in a curriculum. It gives you a Bible story, so if you want a basis. And let's see, the free resources. Down here you have a coloring page if you want to do that, a verse and definition word search, and the related hymn music sheet if you want to use it. They've got some great resources here. I really like this one, which would be great for high school. Yeah. And then we have the more secular version is this right here. You can sign up for a free account. They have a thing for teachers. There's elementary curriculum, and then I think they have an intermediate curriculum, which this is easy to upgrade and downgrade for different, but they have these. Let's see. Shop. So you pick out the elementary, K through 5, or secondary resources, and then they have supplementary resources, and the individual downloads. Those are the cards, posters. These right here, the elementary curriculum, they're $10 a piece. These are really, really nice. And they are completely secular. So you can pull up a Bible verse from this other website, and then to give the biblical part of it, and then you can pull anything out of this to, depending on what subject you're teaching, and give a little bit. Each one of these basically has all of the subjects. So And you could use one of these a month, honestly. So anyway, I definitely suggest that. Where am I? Bible overview, just for a basic overview, if you like to use videos in your classroom, the BibleProject.com has an Old Testament and New Testament overview. These are short videos. Here's the basic overview, and they actually have videos. Yeah, it is a video, and they go through this, and it like draws it. I don't want to show too much of it, but it's
That's an announcement.
so it goes through and explains while they're doing this really neat animation drawing thing, and it talks about it. And these are only about 8 minutes long, so it's a great thing. And it goes through every single book of the Bible. This, if you don't mind running a less than 10-minute video before each class, there you go. And I'm pretty sure they're all that way. Yeah, this is less than 10 minutes. It's 8 minutes and 15 seconds. So an excellent, this is an easy thing that you could use right here, and then go into your whatever your lesson is, and not even have to bring much extra into what you're doing. Let's see, here are those quotes from Horace Mann that I was talking about. I pulled up this Oklahoma Historical Society and the history of home education. So, and Article 13 of the Oklahoma Constitution. This is homeschooling in Oklahoma. That was kind of right from the beginning, pretty much. Let's see, where am I on this? That might be, yep. This is an opportunity. It really is an opportunity for you to, here, I'll put a link to this, the history of compulsory education, if you're interested in that. Yeah. Charlotte Mason, in England was like the mother of home education for a lot of us. She was teaching women how to teach their own children, before they really had a good public education system. They're good. Public education is new, guys. It's new. And it's an experiment that has gone on for about 200 years that, as far as I'm concerned, it's failed. What a college graduate knows today compared to what an 8th grader knew in the 30s are completely different things. We're not getting smarter. We're not. And the education system is not helping. And throwing more money at it, the amount of money that goes into the public education system, and more money goes into it all the time. And all I see is principals and superintendents having bigger and bigger homes is what I see. Yes, I am being critical. That's what I see. So if you're worried about the Bible being taught in schools, then here's a synopsis on how it can be done. Catherine and I were talking this morning about maybe doing a series on how to actually teach, the Bible in historic and literary way. And if you would like that, and maybe some like 15 to 20-minute videos that you could just like play in the classroom for your children, let us know. Let me know. Because I am working on creating a new homeschool curriculum. And this is something that really could fit into that. So if you would like something like that and would like for us to create a series, I think Catherine's probably going to go ahead and start one. I don't know when she's going to get her start. She's pretty busy right now. The 4-year-old keeps her busy. But yeah, let us know if that's something that you're interested in. And I hope this was helpful. If you're a public school teacher, let me know. Um, I'd like to hear, be polite. If you disagree with me, I don't mind people disagreeing with me, but if you feel a need to tell me how stupid you think I am, just why did you even watch? So I don't understand people like that. If you have specific things that you disagree about or specific concerns that you would like to share, if you're willing to do it in a respectful way, I am totally okay with that. I'm sure there's some things that I haven't thought about here, and I have substituted in public school before, but like I said, 30 children all the exact same age in one classroom for 8 hours a day is way beyond me. I do not know how you guys do it. I would much rather stay home with my children and do fun stuff than what you are required to do. So, yeah, I'm open to discussion. Let me know what you guys think. I really appreciate this. And remember, you can make it through the dust storms of life with God's divine help.